Put on the whole armor of God. How? In the only way you can, in the Lord and in His strength and in His might, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers and against authorities and against cosmic powers over this present darkness, against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. And so we start to read how we overcome sin. Like there's everything in this chapter, in Ephesians chapter 6, is vital to being able to overcome and fight this war the way it needs to be fought. Every part of this. Take up the armor of God that you may be able to withstand in that evil day, and doing all to stand firm. Therefore stand, having fastened on the belt of truth. We have got to live in truth, man. We live in a world full of lies. And if the father of lies is Satan. My dad used to tell me, you're never more like the devil when you lie, son. My dad always, you're never more like the devil than when you lie. And you're never more like Jesus when you tell the truth. That was from my dad. We put on the breastplate of righteousness. Righteousness, just right living. And the shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, which is able to extinguish all fiery darts of the evil one. And take up the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Now, I need you guys to hear me. We live in a culture where this book is no longer being regarded as the final authority. It's a good book, but it's not the final authority. Like there's a church in this city. It's a big church. It's got a big building and they got a lot of people that go there. But their pastor does not believe that this is the final authority. He told me it's inspiring, but it's not inspired. I wanted to punch the man in the throat. Why? Because he is leading hundreds of people to hell. Because if this is not the final authority for our lives, what is? Well, I'm going to just do whatever I want. How do I feel in the moment? I can accomplish and do whatever I want to do. No. This is the final authority. Taking up the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. And it is a sword that is able to cut through bone and through marrow. And it gets right to the heart. When the Word of God penetrates a man's heart, it will transform a man's heart. And the point that you've got to understand is that we have got to be prepared. And we've got to be about the business of putting Christ in the forefront of our lives. And we have to reflect Him in our lives. And trust me, guys, I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. But here is where things transform. This is the part and the reason the church exists. Like that's the reason. And here's and this is the dangerous side of our world. Friendship can be messy. And we don't like to invest in people a lot. And men especially, we have what I like to call network friends. Guys that can help us accomplish the things that we want to accomplish, get to where we need to go, the next step. Things that people will help us get to where we need to be, and just take the next step. And these are network. We're nice to each other. We're nice. Like, we're really nice to each other. We're not mean. We're not rude to each other. We might even like each other to some degree. But the level of authentic relationships doesn't happen very often for men. Why? Because sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the guy can be a jerk. Well, maybe you can be a jerk. And so, what happens, network friends stick around as long as things are going well. But authentic friends, a brother, sticks around even when things go messy. Even when things are hard. Even when life is difficult. And we need to move past the point of being network buddies and network friends. And we need to move in the realm of being brothers. And I'm telling you, it can be rough to live in this world. But this is what God's called us as men to do in the church, is actually walk alongside one another. Walk together. Walk beside one another saying, how can I help you? How can I encourage you? How can I lift you up? How can I pray for you? In fact, that's exactly what this text says at the end of this. Verse 18, Galatians 6:18. Praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayers and supplications. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. I mean, what's the word supplication? Intercessory prayer. Praying for one another. How many of you guys love it when you get a text or you get a phone call, you get an email, hey man, I'm praying for you? Come on. Does that encourage you? You get an encouraging note from somebody that says, listen man, I'm praying for you. I love you. I want Christ's best for you. How can I help? How can I pray for you? And I love those. I love those texts. I love that amazing time when I get that. It's like, man, that's what it's about right there.